Okay, 8.2, 8.3, day 2, same thing as yesterday. We're going to be multiplying and factoring polynomials. So let's just get right into it. In problem 1, we're multiplying a monomial by a trinomial. So remember, a monomial is a polynomial that's one term. So the 2x squared is your monomial. And then your trinomial is a polynomial with 3 terms. So this right here is your trinomial. What we need to remember is to distribute the 2x squared to all 3 terms. Okay, so we have a 2x squared times 10x to the 4th. So remember, multiply the coefficients together first. So 2 times 10, that's going to give us 20. And then we have an x squared times an x to the 4th. When we multiply powers with the same base, okay, they both have the base x, we add the exponents together. So it's going to be x to the 2 plus 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. So we're going to have 20x to the 6th. Alright, then we have 2x squared times 4x cubed. 2 times 4 is a positive 8. X squared times x cubed, it's going to give us x to the 2 plus 3, which is 5. And then we have a 2x squared times a negative 1, that's just going to be negative 2x squared. So there's your answer. Alright, in the next one, okay, distribute the negative 6x to all 3 terms of the trinomial. So we have a negative 6 times a negative 1. Well, that's now a positive 6. Oops. And then we have an x times x to the 5th, or an x to the 1st times x to the 5th. Add those exponents together, you get x to the 6th. A negative 6 times positive 2, that's a negative 12. And then we have x times x squared, that's going to be x cubed. And then a negative 6x times 4, that's going to be a negative 24x. Alright, so hopefully that's a lot easier. That's easier today than it was yesterday. We will save C here for any in-class questions on this. So let's go to the next problem. Alright, here we're going to be factoring out a monomial. So we need to find the greatest common factor and factor it out. This is reverse distribution. Here are the steps to do this, same as yesterday. Alright, so let's look at A, and first find the greatest common factor of the numbers. So the numbers we have are 3, 12, and 15. And we just write down the positive number. So the factors of 3, 1 times 3, so 1 and 3. Factors of 12, we have 1 times 12. We have 2 times 6, and we have 3 times 4. And then our factors of 15, 1. Alright, in problem 2, we're going to be factoring out a monomial. Again, same thing we were doing yesterday, same steps. So let's hop right into 1. We need to find the greatest common factor and factor it out. So we want to first find the GCF of the numbers. And the numbers are 3, 12, and 15. We're just going to write the positive of each of those. So factors of 3 are 1 and 3. The factors of 12, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 12. And then the factors of 15, we have 1 times 15, and we have 3 times 5. Now the greatest common of all 3 is going to be 3. Write that down. Now, does each term have a variable? And the answer to that question is no. The negative 15 does not have a variable. Therefore, The greatest common factor is just 3, and we can go to the fourth step. Alright, so to then determine what is left over and needs to be written in parentheses, divide each term by the greatest common factor. So each of these terms gets divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we just have an x squared, or 1x squared. A negative 12x divided by 3. A negative 12 divided by 3 is a negative 4. So negative 4x. And the negative 15 divided by 3, that's going to give us a negative 5. There's our answer. Alright, for the next one, part B, find the greatest common factor of the numbers. So the numbers are 4, 20, and 4. So we don't have to write the same number twice. So factors of 4, 1 times 4, and then 2 times 2. So 1, 4, and 2. And then the factors of 20, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. The greatest common is 4. So we're going to put that here. Now, does each term have a variable? And the answer is yes. Alright, we have an x to the 5th, an x squared, and an x. Now, the greatest common factor of the variables will be the variable raised to the smallest power. So it's just going to be x to the 1st, or just x. Now, multiply the answers from 1 and 2 together. So 4 times x is going to give us 4x. And this is the actual greatest common factor of the whole expression. To then determine what is left over and needs to be written in parentheses, divide each term by 4x squared, the greatest common factor. Alright, so we have 4x to the 5th divided by 4x. So divide the coefficients. 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. And then x to the 5th divided by x to the 1st. Remember, when we divide powers with the same base, you subtract the exponents. So x to the 5 minus 1, this is going to be x to the 4th. So 1x to the 4th, or x to the 4th. We have a negative 20 divided by 4. That's going to give us a negative 5. And then we have an x squared divided by x. So it's going to be x to the 2 minus 1. So it's going to be x, so negative 5x. And then 4x divided by 4x. Well, that's just going to give us 4 divided by 4 is 1. X divided by x is x to the, so x divided by x is x to the 1 minus 1. So x to the 0. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1, so 1 times 1 is 1. There's your answer. We'll leave we'll leave part C for any in-class question on this concept. Alright, and then the problem 3, multiplying a binomial by a binomial. Remember, a binomial is a polynomial with 2 terms. That's a binomial, and this is a binomial. Here are the 2 terms. Alright. Remember, we're going to multiply binomials together, we're going to use the FOIL method, and the F stands for first, the O stands for outer, I stands for inner, and the L stands for last. Alright, so first times first. 3x times 2x. Multiply the coefficients, get 6. X times x gives us x squared. Multiply the outers together. 3x and a negative 1. That's a negative 3x. The inners a negative 5 and a 2x. Let me erase this. So negative 5 and a 2x, that's going to give us a negative 10x. And then we have last times last, negative 5 times negative 1, that's going to give us a positive 5. All that's left to do is combine like terms. So we have 6x squared minus 10x, and then a negative 3 and a positive 5. That's going to give us a positive 2. So notice I wrote this. This is in standard form where the powers are written in descending order. So notice I didn't put the 2 ahead of the negative 10x. Alright, we'll do one more. First times first, so x times 4x, that's going to give us a 4x squared. And the outers, x times 5, that's a positive 5x. The inners, that gives us a negative 16x. And then the last, negative 4 and a 5, multiply those together and you get negative 20. So we have 4x squared minus 11x minus 20. Alright, so that wraps up the 8.2 and 8.3 section.